Hi everyone, Nathan here from Mighty Lancer Games, and today we're going to continue our 40k series and talk about Craftworld Eldar. So, Craftworld Eldar, who are they? Essentially, space elves. So, the Eldar are an ancient race. They existed in the universe before mankind, supposedly. So, these guys, they're an ancient race. They've got a massive varied history, pretty much like mankind. They've had a civil war at some point in the past. So there are the Craftworld Eldar and there are the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar. So basically they had too much good times partying and then there was a bit of a schism. But we'll go into a bit more detail when we talk about Drukhari later. So the Craftworld Eldar live on Craftworlds, which are huge space station worlds, basically like huge kind of like planet-sized manifestations or creations of like spirit bone weirdness going through space. Okay, and they don't really have home planets so much to speak of anymore because they live on these like massive craft world things. So there might be like smaller like space station type things, but basically they live on these huge world craft ships, basically craft worlds. They're called craft worlds. Right, so the Eldar, they're a dying race. So imagine like a lot of elves in fantasy tropes. They're a dying race. They live on spellcasting and magics and what have you. But imagine all that in a sci-fi setting, and it's technological magic and your soul, basically. So these guys, a lot of these guys, they've got what they call soul stones, which are something that they wear around their like chest or whatever, and when they die their spirit goes inside this stone, and then that'll imbue the next wearer of that stone with the memories and what have you of the dead Eldar. So the Eldar are not a numerous army. You don't get hundreds of troops like you would do with an Astra Militarum force or perhaps one of the other, like a Tyranid swarm. They're definitely more of an elite army that you would build in a certain configuration. Now the start collecting box that we've got here definitely leads you down a particular path, which is more around like the mechs, if you like, of the Eldar force. Okay, so what you would get in here is a Farseer. He's a powerful spellcaster, essentially, that's going to be one of the leaders of your army. Farseers are very powerful in game. They can cast multiple psychic powers a turn. Okay, and he's really handy. Okay, you've got some Wraith Guard. Now, Wraith Guard are I keep saying manifestations. That's not the right word. They're creations of Wraithbone. Now, Wraithbone is one of the building materials that Eldar use. Okay, and it allows them to infuse it with the souls of the dead Eldar. So Wraithguard are basically the souls of dead Eldar fused into biomechanical creations that can then go on and do the Craftworlds bidding. So these guys are constructed with like heavy weapons. There, you get a Wraith Lord, which is an even larger version of that. They're quite devastating. You can give them various close combat weapons and heavy weapons that are capable of destroying tanks. And then you get a War Walker. So this is piloted by an Eldar warrior, a Guardian, and again he's kind of like a mobile weapons platform that you can use to take down your opponents. Now, this is just one way of starting an Eldar army. So you can have an entire Eldar force that are mounted on jet bikes or like flyers, or you can have more an infantry force. Eldar make use of specialised troops that they call aspect warriors. Now these are from certain sub-factions within the Eldar community. Okay, so Phoenix warriors and aspect warriors are their elite troops. So they have such things as they call the Dire Avengers. So they've got massive like shuriken catapult things that they like, obviously a ranged weapon for more like an assault troop. We've got striking scorpions, which are kitted out for stealth and close combat. Howling banshees, which are devastating assault troops. They've got power weapons and banshee masks that terrify their opponents. Warp spiders, they leap around the battlefield using devastating web spinner weapons to destroy their opponents. Dark Reapers are heavy support troops. They've got rocket launcher, essentially a rocket launcher weapon that can use to mass effect. And you know, there's a couple of other aspect warriors in there as well. But like Eldar can be an absolutely devastating army to play against, but they can also be very weak. The warriors are quite easy to kill, so you've really got to be a tactical mind to play an Eldar force effectively. Now let's just show off. We've shown you what's in the start collecting box. We'll show you a couple of other boxes, some of my particular favourites of what you might need if you're going to start an Eldar army. So these guys, these are the kind of the backbone of any Eldar army. These are the Guardians. So these are your bog standard space elves. Okay, so these guys have got shuriken catapults. They come with a heavy weapons platform, which you can build with a number of different weapon options in there. Scatter laser, bright lance. So bright lance is basically like an anti-vehicle, like a las cannon for a space marine or an imperial guardsman. Scatter lasers like an auto cannon that pumps out loads of fire, but not very effective against vehicles. You know, these guys are your kind of meat and potatoes of an Eldar force. Then you've got, for example, the Dire Avengers. So these are one of your elite choices, your aspect warrior choices. I always think these guys are probably one of the coolest, but that's because I like blue. So, blue with white helmets. That's typically, you know, you can paint them any colour you like, but they're typically blue with white helmets. So they're pretty cool. This is Jane Zar. She is one of the Phoenix Lords of the Eldar, so she's a named character. She's a devastating hand-to-hand combat expert. She's the Phoenix Lord of the Howling Banshees. So, like I mentioned, the Dire Avengers and the Howling Banshees and the Striking Scorpions. Each one of these sub-factions has their own Phoenix Lord. But Yenzar is one of the newest models that they've created for the Eldar. And it is a very, very nice figure compared to the original back from the early 90s. Which still wasn't terrible, but this is so much nicer. And then, got a couple of, like we've shown you with a couple of the other armies, some nice big centerpiece models that we'd like to show you. So this is the Hemlock Wraith Fighter. This can be built in a couple of different configurations. It's a beautiful flyer plane, basically, that you can whiz around the battlefield and destroy your enemy and bomb those Imperial Guard Astra Militarum Hydras that we showed you previously. I've seen some amazing paint jobs on these, and they really are like a centerpiece to your collection. So those, they're really cool. And then kind of the main centerpiece, pièce de résistance, however you want to call it, for an Eldar army that is not a specialist model, shall we say, is the Wraith Knight. So this guy is a monster. He stands like 10 times the height of a normal Eldar. He's huge. So this is kind of like the Titan or the Imperial Knight of the Eldar army. It's a towering ghost warrior construct, it says on the box here. So this is a huge war machine. This thing's really hard to take down, carries the heaviest weaponry possible, absolutely devastating in hand-to-hand combat. If your opponent's fielding a super heavy tank or a knight or something like that, that's a huge creature or a huge monster, you need one of these things to go toe-to-toe with it to take it out. And again, like the Wraith Fighter, I've seen people do absolutely stunning paint jobs on these. Galaxies painted on their chest plates, ivy painted up their legs and what have you, because it's just such a beautiful model that it deserves a stunning paint job. Absolutely fantastic. I like this model. So, there we are with Eldar. So I'm sure there's probably things that I haven't really touched on, but the Eldar army is has a massive variance in it for depending on what your play style is. But they don't really suit a kind of hammer your opponent playstyle. You really need to think about tactical strikes and where you're going to go with your forces. And Eldar as a background for the game, they've got some fantastic stories and different kind arcs that they go through, and you know, they're a dying race. They're trying to preserve the last of their people, which is why they use these like the ghost warrior type scenarios. So these are war machines like the Wraith Knight and the Wraith Lord and the other things that I showed earlier on. These are piloted by the spirits of the dead Eldar, because they don't want to throw their living kin into battle wherever they don't need to. So they're either highly trained like the aspect warriors, or they're like the ghosts of the dead that are piloting their war machines. So what else is there to say? I hope you've enjoyed this video. We're always happy to have your feedback and your comments below. If you like the video, please like the video, press the thumbs up, press the little bell thing for subscription to our channel, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the bell for notifications for when we put out more content, and please get in touch and let us know if there's anything you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching.